Welcome to the Janelle King Show. I'm Janelle King, and this is where we discuss kitchen table topics that are typically banned for family gatherings but are absolutely necessary in order to have a strong republic. And today's table topic is coming right out of the kitchen: protecting your health in the world of unseen toxins. So, I want to start with a question. Where will you be if you did not have access to a grocery store or to a pharmacy? If all of a sudden the grocery stores were empty and you were told that it would be another 90 days before and you were told that it would be another 90 days before they are replenished. Or what if you contacted your local pharmacy and you were informed that due to a recent lawsuit, your medication is no longer available until further notice? Do you have a plan? If the answer is no, don't feel bad, because the truth is, most of us, particularly in America, believe that our country is attack proof and that our country is hardship proof. But there are some of us who value self sustaining and allowing nature to be our doctor's office. If you're one of those people, or you're someone who has not lived on a farm, you may not want to turn the dial. The truth is, so many Americans watch other countries fight wars, experience famine and drought, and we never stop to think, what if this happened in America? What would I do? Not what would we do, what would I do? I'm willing to bet it all that many of those sleeping in subways in Ukraine did not think that's what their life would be like 10 years ago. And I'm not trying to scare anyone, but I do think it's important that we think about the what if. No matter how far-fetched it may appear to be, no matter how many times people tell you, oh boy, let's pull out the tinfoil hat, it's nothing wrong with considering. So today I'm going to talk about the MAHA group, which is the Make America Healthy Again group. And I'm also going to talk about some of the things that are being done that could threaten our livelihood, as well as my personal health journey. And then I'm going to close with a few of the health hacks and strategies and why this matters politically. So let's get started. So to be fair, Michelle Obama attempted to tackle this issue with her Let's Move campaign that was designed to address child obesity. But today, I think it's pretty clear that moving around and exercising while having a poor diet isn't going to do much. So fast forward to today, and we have the MAHA movement, a movement that I am so much a part of. It's the Make America Healthy Again movement. It's an initiative focused on improving health and wellness across the United States. It aims to address various health issues that affect Americans, such as obesity, poor diet, and the lack of physical activity. It's done by promoting healthier lifestyles, nutrition, and exercise. The movement as a whole seeks to reduce healthcare costs and improve overall public health. The MAHA movement is typically driven by health professionals, fitness experts, and policymakers, and then community leaders and advocates like myself for programs and policies that encourage healthy living. The movement can also include public awareness campaigns, educational outreach, and initiatives designed to make healthy choices more accessible and appealing to the general public. For us, Mahas, we believe in the trifecta: diet, exercise, and the removal of toxins. So together, we have seen health changes in our personal lives as well as the lives around us, where we have shared some of this information. So before we get into all the health hacks and all the healthy things and the information that I've shared, that I'm going to share with you, what is the latest from the MAHA movement? Like, what has this movement done? So since coming on the scene, this movement, along with the leadership of RFK, has been very, very busy, and for good reason. Based on the most recent data available, the health status of Americans concerning diabetes, hypertension, and obesity remains a significant public health concern, with approximately 34 million Americans, that's about 10.5% of the population, have diabetes, and a vast majority having type 2 diabetes. And that's keeping in mind that a lot of times it's not tracked, or people don't know that they have diabetes. They just live with the symptoms. Around 47% of Americans have hypertension or are taking medication for it. Despite awareness, blood pressure control remains a challenge, increasing the risk of heart attack, stroke, and other health issues. About 42% of adults are classified as obese, with a body mass index of 30 or higher. Obesity increases the risk of multiple chronic diseases, including diabetes, health disease, and certain cancers. Diabetes rates have been steadily rising over the past few decades. The MAHA movement has accomplished so much thus far. But let's talk about the most recent stuff, like banning junk food as an option that can be purchased through food stamps. USDA Secretary Brooke Rollins granted waivers to 6 states, including Nebraska, Iowa, Indiana, Arkansas, Idaho, and Utah earlier this year. Over 20% of SNAP benefits are spent on soda and junk food, with benefits funding over $24 billion annually and almost 42 million recipients. The USDA announced that 6 more states will be receiving waivers to restrict SNAP benefits from purchasing soda, candy, and processed foods. So I think this is a big deal, particularly when you consider the fact that you have all of these medical conditions that are on the rise, as well as when you have children who are eating a bunch of processed foods and sugar. What do you think is going to happen when they go to school? They're going to be tired, which is going to make them more anxious. And then when they can't fall asleep, it's going to make them irritable. And then their behavior is going to go in the wrong direction. It's going to make it harder for teachers to teach, which then impacts education. And when education is impacted, then they can't get the proper understanding, they won't learn the proper things in order to compete in this world. And when you can't compete, what happens? You go to crime. So it's a cycle that starts with what you eat every single day. But moving on, what else has this movement been able to assist with? Well, the Health and Human Services also announced that it is terminating 22 mRNA vaccine contracts, removing nearly $500 million in funding after an internal review questioned the vaccine's effectiveness against respiratory viruses. Kennedy said, after reviewing the science and consulting top experts in the NIH and the FDA, the Health and Human Services has determined that the mRNA technology poses more risk than help or benefits, citing data that shows these vaccines fail to protect effectively against COVID and the flu. So, as you can see, the movement has been busy, from fighting big pharma to fighting big food to educating all of us. Keeping all of this in mind, as a Republican or conservative, I always bring it back to personal health and decisions. So, going back to the original question that was asked when we opened the show, what are you going to do if you don't have the stores that you rely on for survival? And the interesting thing is that we don't realize just how much we rely on these stores and these products and these services for survival. I mean, we rely on it for food, medication, our day-to-day needs, our cleaning supplies, every single thing. But don't worry. Today, as I stated before, I'm going to share some information that you may have never heard before, or you thought that it didn't matter. Like, what does it mean when we say that there are chemicals in our food, like toxins in our house? And what if I told you that you can slow down diabetes without taking medication or spending money? Yep. We're going to talk about all of that and more right after the break as we dig deeper into this very important table discussion. You're listening to The Janelle King Show. I'm Janelle King. This is Extra 106.3. don't leave the table.
As a nurse practitioner, I see it all the time. Our food is what is making us sick. Hi, I'm Emily Faulkner, founder of the Farmstead Forum. I started this conference as a way to help connect people back to their food source. On November 7th and 8th in Carrollton, Georgia, we are having our second annual Homestead Conference. Whether you are new to homesteading or you're experienced, you're going to find speakers, workshops, demos. There's something for everyone here at this conference.
Hi, I'm Janelle Anderson with the Haven Farmstead, and I am so excited to come to the Farmstead Forum.
Hi, I'm Beth Holland of Bread for Life. Come and join me at the Farmstead Forum as I show you the difference between freshly milled grains and grocery store products.
Hi, I'm Jake Holloway. I operate a multi-generational farm in Carroll County. I also have 20 years experience in competitive gardening, growing things like this watermelon.
I'm Rachel Smith at Reclaiming Health 365. Join me at the Farmstead Forum. Learn about the top 10 things to start your home pharmacy and treat your family with confidence.
Go to our website today, farmsteadforum.com, get your tickets, and I hope to see you there.
Hey everyone, I just want to take a quick moment to say thank you, thank you, thank you. Thank you for all of your support, and thank you because we have hit our initial goal of 500 subscribers. Woo! And I couldn't be more grateful, and I couldn't have done it without you. So now it's time to set a new goal. My new goal is 1,000 subscribers. I know we can do it. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't just watch, participate, become a part of this unafraid, unapologetic, always seeking the truth community. Your support helps us keep the content coming and growing and rocking and rolling. Thank you so much for being with us, and I appreciate each and every one of you.
A whole generation of kids that feels alienated, dispossessed. They are in a existential crisis, not only because their health is, 77% of our kids can't qualify for military service. There's a purposelessness in their lives and no sense of usefulness or effectiveness or connectedness to their communities. And that drives also the chronic disease epidemic and the epidemics we're seeing of depression, of suicide, of alcoholism, of drug addiction. I think we have to address all of those things at the same time. We can't just say we're going to make you physically healthy.
Welcome back to the show. This is the Janelle King Show. I'm Janelle King, and this is Extra 106.3, and this is where we discuss kitchen table topics that are typically banned from family gatherings but are absolutely necessary in order to have a strong republic. And today's kitchen table topic is about protecting our health from a world of unseen toxins. So now, before the break, I posed a question. Where would you be if the grocery stores or pharmacies suddenly shut down? Imagine they're empty for months, or that if your medication was somehow all of a sudden unavailable due to legal challenges or whatever else the company is dealing with. Like, do you have a plan? What are you going to do? Because most of us believe that our country is attack-proof, and most of us believe that we can weather any hardship because it'll only last for a short period of time. But what if it doesn't? Some people value self-sufficiency and nature's healing. But if you haven't lived on a farm or you don't think this is necessary, you might want to think differently. Many of us tend to watch other countries that face war, face famine and drought, and we just never consider, what if that happened here? It's not meant to scare you or to cause alarm, but I do think that talking about preparedness is something that we all should be talking about, particularly while we look around and we see so many wars taking place around us. So today we have the MAHA movement, the Make America Great Again movement, that is tackling health issues like obesity, diabetes, hypertension, and toxins. And I mentioned earlier that we've seen some recent stats that put about 34 million Americans having diabetes, 47% of Americans that have high blood pressure, and 42% of adults who are obese. That's not even including children who are now growing up obese because they don't go outside, they don't run around, they don't get their heart rate up, they don't play, they're very sedentary, they're sitting in front of video games and TVs and technology, and so we're not even counting them. But as conservatives, But most importantly, as Americans, we should focus on our personal choices regarding our health more closely. So during this segment, I want to share with you a bit of my personal background on this matter and how health has not always been at the forefront of my mind, but it's certainly been in the back. You see, I was raised holistically, leaning on natural remedies over medications and vaccines. But not until a few years ago when I was told that I may have insulin resistance and that my blood pressure was sky high, and it felt like foods that we have eaten since the beginning of time, like bread and cheese, were now hard to digest. That is when I thought to myself, I really need to make a health change, and I need to put my personal health at the forefront. So let's start with diabetes and insulin resistance. So diabetes and insulin resistance are related, but they are distinct and they're different. Diabetes is a chronic condition where blood sugar or glucose levels are consistently too high. Whereas insulin resistance is a condition where the body's cells become less responsive to insulin, a hormone that helps glucose enter cells for energy. And as a result, the pancreas produces more insulin to compensate. Over time, this can lead to high blood sugar levels and may progress into type 2 diabetes if the pancreas can no longer keep up. So to summarize it all, insulin resistance is a precursor or the early stage to what is often leads to type 2 diabetes. So how did I address this holistically? I actually have a very simple and a very easy food hack that you can remember. But I want to just kind of give you the steps of how I got to that food hack. First, I trained my mind to see carbs the same way I see hard candy, as sugar. Oftentimes, we look at potatoes and French fries and bread and all these things, and we just say to ourselves, that's that, but that's not candy. And we only see candy as sugar. And we forget that fruit is also sugar. And that is actually the most common hidden sugar is in pasta and breads. So I train my brain by keeping in mind that once I eat a carb, it will immediately turn into glucose, just like that piece of candy. And while fruit isn't as bad for us, and while, bread is not the same as hard candy, eating too much fruit can be bad for you, just like eating too much bread. For example, would you eat 3 to 4 oranges in one setting? Probably not, but you'll drink it in 1 glass of orange juice, and sometimes more. So it's important to understand that we have the ability to control our glucose spikes. Because when our glucose spikes, it means that there's a sudden increase in blood sugar. And this can happen after eating carbohydrate-rich foods, or if the body isn't producing enough insulin or isn't responding to insulin effectively. Excess glucose circulates in the body instead of entering the cells for energy. So over time, repeated spikes can damage blood vessels, nerves, or even your organs. And some of these symptoms of a glucose spike can be increased thirst, frequent urination, fatigue, blurred vision, headaches, feeling sweaty or shaky, hunger or cravings that are shortly right after you've eaten. So having those symptoms, you may not normally pay attention to them, but you should. So that leads me to my first hack that I want to introduce to you, and it comes from a book that I highly recommend called Glucose Revolution. I'll make sure I put the book title in the description below. So the hack is to change the order of your food. So when you sit down and you start to eat, be mindful of what you eat first. What we should be eating first is fiber, followed by protein, and lastly, carbs and sugars. So your parents were onto something. When mama used to say, make sure you eat your vegetables first, that is actually the best thing to do for our overall health. And for those of you who don't eat vegetables, please, please, please reconsider. You cannot live life or go through life without having fiber. Now, or having fiber that is found in vegetables, because I know some people are going to say, oh, I can get fiber somewhere else, but you want to get that natural, good, rich fiber. So by making this simple change, I noticed first that I wasn't sleepy in the middle of the day. And I also noticed that it wasn't as hard for me to fall asleep and stay asleep. But I really, really encourage you to pick up the book Glucose Revolution and to start with this simple hack. Now, I truly believe what helped me address the hypertension or high blood pressure was a host of things, but for the sake of time, I want to talk about the few things that I think mattered the most. The first thing I did was going back to sugar. I pulled sugar out of my diet once again. Then I read another book called Eat for Your Blood Type, which has been around for a very long time. Many of you probably have either I've read it or have chosen to eat that way. But I pulled all the foods that were not supportive with my body style or my blood type, which in my case meant eating mostly vegetables. And lastly, I changed my table salt to pink Himalayan salt because that highly rich table salt is just not good for us. So mix that in with eating at home more so than eating outside, exercising and reducing stress. I was able to regulate my blood pressure holistically, and so can you. Okay, now let's address a topic that is connected to poor digestion, nerve conditions, decreased energy and fatigue, headaches and brain fog, skin problems, joint pain, inflammation, weakened immune system, hormonal imbalances, weight gain, and that's just to name a few. What am I talking about? I'm talking about toxins. And what if I told you that every day, even if you don't leave your home, you are breathing, eating, and wearing toxins? Well, unfortunately, we all are. And while we can't change the past and we can't make changes we can certainly make changes for the future. So I don't want you to take my word for it. I want you to listen to this clip from the founder of Every Branch just to kick off this discussion, because I don't know if people realize just how bad having toxins in your home or around you or where you are can be, especially when you don't have a healthy food or exercise plan.
I was diagnosed with the worst case of polycystic ovarian syndrome that my fertility doctor in Houston had ever seen. I was only in high school. I had had one period in 6th grade and then never had another period. So went in and got a sonogram, and my ovaries were literally covered in cysts. And I was given birth control. I was told that there was nothing that I could do about it. I remember specifically asking the nurse practitioner, who I now adore and we have a great relationship with, but at the time she was just in the dark about healing. And she basically said, no, this is becoming more and more common. There's really nothing that you can do to change it. You'll be on birth control indefinitely. You won't be able to have children naturally, but when you're ready to have children, come back and we will help make that happen.
Yeah, with like IVF
like Disney,
or
where dreams come true. It's like, so I kind of owned that, honestly. Like, I didn't have anyone speaking any other voice of reason into me. And so I kind of just wore that as like, I'm the girl with PCOS. I'm the girl that can't have kids naturally. Fast forward to college, and I started coming down with mysterious pain, literally from like my neck to down my back, down my legs, sciatic nerve. I started with PT, acupuncture, Rolfing, all the way to I'm getting regular steroid injections, painkillers, muscle relaxers, twice a day hydrocodone. I mean, I was in the pits. No doctor could agree upon what was really happening. There were like some early signs of early stage MS. So Marilee, my hippie, crunchy, amazing co-founder aunt, at the time, I thought was just a little bit kooky, lived out in the hill country, didn't have a cell phone, used like beet juice, and I'm thinking, what are you going to tell me? What value are you going to bring to me at 21 years old when I've been to the best doctors in the nation? But I had nothing to lose. And Alex, she started asking me questions that nobody had asked me. Where were you when the pain started? Had you recently moved or remodeled? Was there a mold exposure? Can you send me a 3-day diet diary? And I'm thinking, lady, like, what does this have to do with any of my symptoms? I have been to the best people in the country, and there's no credentials, that you have. Like, what is this? But at the same time, there was this like hope rising in me. Like, wait a minute. These questions are things that like I have control over. Like I can change what I eat. I could change, she's asking me what cleaning products I'm using. She explained to me how all of these products have toxic chemicals in them. And yes, we can use them our entire lives. And yes, everyone around us can use them and seem like they're perfectly healthy and fine. But number one, is everyone healthy and fine, right? Yeah. Is the number one question. What is healthy? And two, we all have that spillover, right? Like we all have that threshold that, disease doesn't happen overnight. It's in the microdoses. So all of these products that I was using, like at some point, they're going to catch up to me. The things that I'm putting in my mouth, the things I'm putting on my body, the things I'm spraying around my home, using to clean, using in my laundry. We now know science shows that virtually every single disease, symptom, and malfunction of the body can be traced back to toxic accumulation, Wow. But at this time, this is 2007. So I'm like, okay, non-toxic, So anyway, I threw away the Windex and changed my laundry products, stopped eating Splenda. And I noticed that I was able to get off of a lot of the medications that I was on. The inflammation was decreasing. So I'm thinking we're onto something. So I went to live with Marilee in the hill country of Texas the summer of 2008 with my best friend Kelly, my roommate at the time. And that's basically when everything changed. We spent the summer eating real food for the first time. I didn't know that I wasn't eating real food. It turns out I probably hadn't gone a day in my life since my soy formula that I had not had fake food. In some version, right? So for 8 full weeks, we ate real food. We grounded. Like this was not a thing back then. We were drinking juice when everyone was drinking orange juice. Like we were putting something through a machine, like a lemon and a ginger and a beet. And like I had never seen kale go through a machine and come out as a liquid, right? Like nowadays, like everybody, even if you're not drinking juice, like you know what it is. And I came off that summer off of all medication, no pain. I have not taken a prescription drug since.
Whoa.
Ended up going back to the original doctor. Of course, Marilee was like, get off with the birth control. That's not part of my, clean protocol. Went back to the same fertility doctor, I think it was about 10 months later, and the cysts were gone. We all clean, like male, female, young, old, like we're always around cleaners, right? And, sadly, the indoor air in our home is usually 2 to 5 times more toxic than outdoors, except after the home has been cleaned, it's up to 10 times more toxic. So the irony in that is so thick, right? We bring these products in efforts to create a clean environment, and they're some of the most toxic things that we're exposed to, and they're undermining our immune system. So when Marilee works with clients, which she has for 45 years, and I should tell her story kind of in a nutshell in a second, but she always starts with cleaning and pesticides because those two things are some of the greatest underminers of our health. And a lot of the cleaning products actually have EPA registered pesticides inside of them.
Okay, so tell me about her story.
Yeah. So Marilee grew up in Houston. She is in her mid 70s now. She was pre-med. Her mother died of cancer. She was always going to be the girl that was going to cure cancer, right? So when she was in her 20s, she had basically kidney failure. She was going to go through dialysis, get a kidney transplant. The doctor said there was just no other way around it. And she had this kind of like mama bear thing rise up in her and say, I know there's another way. Like, I'm not going to do this right now. Of course, the doctors were like, no, like we're telling you, you need dialysis and you need a transplant. So she ended up finding out about the idea of food as medicine. Like during this kind of critical period of her life, she went 10 full days eating a fully medicinal, it was a macrobiotic specifically, but it was a medicinal diet. And all of her dialysis numbers were back in normal range. She avoided the transplant. And that's when she really understood this idea of using food as medicine. She actually became a macrobiotic chef at a resort in Jamaica.
Oh my
She's
God.
incredible. Okay, so but fast forward, and her son, who's my first cousin, is 10 years old, and he was exposed at school to a now banned pesticide called chlordane. So she picks him up from school. He was a, brilliant, obedient, athletic, strong, smart little boy, and he now cannot walk a straight line. His lymph nodes are swollen up like BBs. He's blue. His tongue is blue. He can't spell a 3-letter word. He was chemically injured. Just his brain and his immune system were just obliterated.
How did he come in contact with this? It was like on the recess field outside or something?
They had sprayed underneath the auditorium. It flooded, and the kids were all in the auditorium, and the water had come up, and so the pesticides, other kids were also exposed as well. So she was told, your child will be a bubble child. He will never recover. He'll be on 16 shots per day. You need to create a safe room for him, like basically a place that he can go and not have anything in it because he will react. His immune system is too badly damaged and the brain does not regenerate. Well, this was before we understood neuroplasticity and how much the brain can heal. But again, that same feeling rose up in Marilee, and she basically was like, I'm glad, with all respect, I'm glad you're not God. Like, watch my son heal. She takes him back home. She decides, I'm not going to create a safe room. I'm going to create a safe home for him. So this was really her aha moment about how much the environment also affects our health. So she understood the dietary piece. And then through Douglas's healing journey, he basically reversed through the autism spectrum. So he was severely autistic after this, like presenting in that way. 7 years, she says it would have gone much quicker had she had the information, but it was a trial and error. She and her son basically figuring this out. But after 7 years, he fully recovered. We hear, oh gosh, these toxins are so bad, but it's until we are actually sick, we say that you either have to be really sick or really smart to jump on this train. What's really happening, they're creating oxidative stress in the body. They're lowering glutathione. Glutathione is our master antioxidant. In fact, studies show people that live the longest and have the least amount of disease have the highest amount of glutathione. So when you're, essentially being exposed to these toxins every single day, you are clogging those detox pathways. It's hard for chemicals to come in for nutrients to come in and chemicals to go out. You're creating, DNA damage. And so we think, oh, I'm fine. I've been using these my whole life. They don't affect me. Well, then starting around 60s or 70s, all of a sudden, all these predisposed genetic things become expressed in your body and you wonder why. Well, there's a threshold again where there's a spillover, right? And then you have, from an endocrine standpoint, early onset puberty and, infertility and the cancers. 1 in 3 women and 1 in 2 men will get cancer in their lifetime. And these toxins are specifically studied to be shown that they are carcinogenic. They're crossing the blood-brain barrier. Yeah. They're creating brain fog and insomnia. So it's not just these kind of, oh gosh, these are not that good for us, but I'll be fine. It's like, are we fine?
Okay. Don't worry. You can hear the entire show by clicking the link in my bio. So what are some hacks to address this very common issue of having these toxins all around us? Well, removing fragrances. Stop eating foods that have food dyes or artificial flavoring. I know that there was a policy that passed to kind of help with this, but you can do something about it even before the policy comes into full effect. We have to toss the fragrance candles, the flavors and all that stuff was not good. It led to some really negative places, but we really do need to also toss the high fragrant candles. And a great replacement is beeswax. Beeswax is also known to purify the air and also create a sweet aroma. From what I've heard, the issue with candles is not so much the actual candle as much as it is the smoke that is released when the candle is blown out. So another way to purify your home is to, especially if you don't open your windows, is to try charcoal packs. Charcoal packs can be recharged with the sunlight once a month. And I'm going to add the link into the bio as well to the product that I like, because I do think that it is possible to purify your air and to keep it purified. Because you got to understand, if all of your windows are closed, you're circulating everything. Like, you're circulating the air, you're circulating your breath, you're circulating everything that's in your breath. It's just a whole circulation, right? It's just not good. I'm going to add that link to the packs that I like in the bio. But let's also try to remove some of our toxic cleaning products and replace them with some good old soap and water and white vinegar. Everything I named can be done with spending little to no money at all, but the reward is much greater. Lastly, I want to share some of my favorite teas with you, because as a child, we were instructed to drink herbal tea when we got sick. It was like, go to the drawer and pick out your tea. You know what you need to get. But, it was just a little different where we were, when we were sick, I did not go to the hospital and get all these medications and stuff like that. Not saying don't do that. I'm by no means advocating for you to not take your medications or not do certain things, by no means. But I just want to give you something to think about so you can start your own personal research journey, your investigative journey, or even feel positive about some of the things that you're doing. I drink tea at least 2 times a day for a variety of benefits. So I pulled a few of these teas that are known to assist with detoxing our system, and they're herbal teas. It's dandelion root, which supports liver health and also helps to flush out toxins. Milk thistle, which is known for its liver protective policies. Ginger tea, which aids in digestion and reduces inflammation. Blueberry leaf acts as a gentle diuretic, helping to eliminate excess water and toxins. Spearmint tea supports digestion and cleans out your waste. Duckweed or wheatgrass are rich in chlorophyll, which helps detoxify the body and eliminates harmful substances. And then last but certainly not least is turmeric. I just made some turmeric today actually, but you want to mix it with a pepper because that kind of opens up the benefits. But turmeric contains cumin, which is an anti-inflammatory and detoxing priorities. Okay, so I've covered a lot in a quick time frame in that segment because I really wanted to just kind of hit you with the points that are the most pertinent, the fastest to implement, and the cheapest. After the break, I'm going to share with you why this matters politically. We're almost done. Don't go anywhere. You're listening to the Janelle King Show right here on Extra 106.3.
As a nurse practitioner, I see it all the time. Our food is what is making us sick. Hi, I'm Emily Faulkner, founder of the Farmstead Forum. I started this conference as a way to help connect people back to their food source. On November 7th and 8th in Carrollton, Georgia, we are having our 2nd annual Homestead Conference. Whether you are new to homesteading or you're experienced, you're going to find speakers, workshops, demos. There's something for everyone here at this conference.
Hi, I'm Janelle Anderson with the Haven Farmstead, and I am so excited to come to the Farmstead Forum.
Hi, I'm Beth Hollander, Bread for Life. Come and join me at the Farmstead Forum as I show you the difference between freshly milled grains and grocery store products.
Hi, I'm Jake Holloway. I operate a multi-generational farm in Carroll County. I also have 20 years experience in competitive gardening, growing things like this watermelon.
I'm Rachel Smith at Reclaiming Health 365. Join me at the Farmstead Forum. Learn about the top 10 things to start your home pharmacy and treat your family with confidence.
Go to our website today, farmsteadforum.com. Get your tickets, and I hope to see you there.
Hey everyone, I just want to take a quick moment to say thank you. Thank you for all of your support, and thank you because we have hit our initial goal of 500 subscribers. Woo! And I couldn't be more grateful, and I couldn't have done it without you. So now it's time to set a new goal. My new goal is 1,000 subscribers. I know we can do it. If you haven't already, make sure you hit that subscribe button. Don't just watch, participate, become a part of this unafraid, unapologetic, always seeking the truth community. Your support helps us keep the content coming and growing and rocking and rolling. Thank you so much for being with us. I appreciate each and every one of you. Thank you so much for being with us, and I appreciate each and every one of you. Welcome back, and that's right. This is the Janelle King Show. I'm Janelle King. This is Extra 106.3, and this is where we discuss kitchen table topics that are typically banned from family gatherings, but are absolutely necessary in order to have a strong republic. In today's kitchen table topic, we're talking about something that really takes place in the kitchen: protecting your health in a world of unseen toxins and bad decisions. And before the break, I asked a challenging question. What if grocery stores or pharmacies suddenly shut down? Imagine they're all empty for months and your medication becomes unavailable. Do you have a plan? Many of us in our country believe that some of these crises will never happen to us. But what if we are wrong? It's important to think about the preparedness, about being prepared, and to think about self-sufficiency. Even if you haven't lived on a farm or you don't want a farm, observing some of these countries facing war, famine, and drought should prompt us to consider, what if it happened here? Today, I talked a little bit about the MAHA movement, which is the Make America Healthy Again movement that I am so proud to support and be a part of, which takes on health challenges like obesity, diabetes, and hypertension. And when you have statistics like 34 million Americans having diabetes and 47% of Americans having high blood pressure, along with 42% of adults who are obese, and many of these people have all three of them. These numbers highlight the importance of focusing on our personal health choices. And as I stated before, as Republicans, but most importantly as Americans, it's crucial to protect our health and our preparedness. So why does this matter politically? Well, the obvious reason is that you can't vote if you're not alive. Now, I know there's some people who say, yes, you can, because, but that's a whole other discussion for another day. But our elected leaders, they shape policy that directly and indirectly affect our diets, our health care, as well as our lifestyle choices and options, as well as our lifestyle options. From regulation to healthcare access, their decisions impact what we eat, how we exercise, and even our ability to prevent and treat diseases. For example, policies on food subsidies influence the availability of that food, as well as the affordability of healthy foods versus processed junk. Regulations on advertising, especially to children, can affect eating habits and obesity rates. Healthcare policies determine access to preventative care, screenings, and chronic disease management. Legislation around environmental toxins, pollution, and chemicals in our products can all be affected and can affect our overall health, but is all affected by who we put in our seats. So when politicians prioritize health, promoting better nutrition standards, funding preventive programs, and reducing harmful substances, they help create environments that support healthier choices. But when policies favor big pharma, big food over the public health, our health is shaped by more than just our personal choices. It's influenced by the policies our leaders put in place. So it's critical to hold politicians accountable, advocate for health-focused policies, and stay informed about how government actions impact our lives. Remember, our health is a reflection of the system we live in. And our voices can make a difference in shaping policies that promote a healthier future for us all. It's important to support strict regulations, fewer harmful chemicals making their way into our food and our environment. But if they don't hear from you, they will certainly hear from the lobbyists of big food and big pharma, and then all of their lax standards. Where your elected officials stand helps you hold them accountable. In the end, your health and knowing where your officials stand is the first step in making sure they're working to keep it safe. Until next time, stay unapologetic, stay unafraid, and never stop seeking the truth.